What's next here is compassion. And compassion is not about being a deep and bleeding heart. Compassion is not about sort of being the place where everybody can dump their problems and you'll carry them for them. It's not about emotional responsibility. Compassion is simply about being flexible and human. None of us a week ago thought that we would be here. No one sitting in a nursing home thought that they would have no visitors. No high school seniors or college freshmen thought that they would be stopping in the middle of these big transitions in their lives. None of us knew we would be here. And so tapping into our compassion is about remembering that all of us are experiencing this at the same time, both together and in incredibly unique personal ways. So it's both a joint experience and a deeply personal experience. And as many of you can attest, that changes and shifts by the hour in the day, by the lead news story on your phone. So compassion is about being flexible and human. As you think about how you might demonstrate compassion to your people, you might think about what do they need as the work environment shifts? So do people have what they need to work from home? Are there things you could do to make that easier? Whether it be requiring that people show up as they are when they're home and loosening that expectation. It might be that people need equipment. It might be that people need training that they didn't need before. But if you think about, if I'm going to have my team working in a different way, what will they need? It's a great way to get in touch with your compassion. They will probably need continued connection, right? So if you haven't already connected with your team in a virtual way, maybe now is the time to set up a Slack channel. Maybe now is the time to set up a daily Zoom stand-up. You want to think about, how do I foster connection? How do I foster my own sense of visibility with people? How do I show up for folks? Maybe it's blocking time in your own calendar so that you can text people at the end of the day. Your people might need an ability to deliver work flexibly in ways we haven't talked about yet. So it might be that they want to do it at different times because they've got children at home. But bringing your compassion forward and thinking, what do your people need? What can they now touch and feel as a gap that I, as their leader, can close for them? And there's a really simple answer to this. If you're sitting on this webinar thinking, I don't really know what they need, I'm not really sure, you can ask them. What would make this easier for you? There are examples all over the place of leaders doing this. So Starbucks we'll refer to probably a couple of times in this conversation. Starbucks has decided that if you need to be out for 2 weeks, we'll pay you. No questions asked. We can help. Your people might need, if they've got children at home, you have a school-age workforce, your people might need to move to a 6-hour workday for a while, or to a split shift workday for a while. Or if you have the ability, you might say, you know what, it doesn't matter to me how you work. Get the stuff done and keep yourself healthy. But thinking compassionately about, if your people are in exactly the same place we all are, which is getting new information, responding to new change, what might they need? You want to think too about, how might your clients need to experience your compassion? So this shows up pretty easily and quickly in things like flexible cancellation policies. Those of you who've worked with me know that if you're a no-show within 24 hours or reschedule within 24 hours, that counts as a missed session. It doesn't right now. Nobody's got time for that. We can do that differently in this experience. Your clients might need to experience you showing up with a different set of products, bringing something forward that could be helpful to them, doing something for free that can support them. All of us have ways we can contribute here. And you can show up in a really powerful way for your clients if you think about what might they be experiencing. You'll receive a resource sheet after this in email. And in that are several companies who will help for free, who are already helping for free, will help for free as you think about communication, but really great examples of thinking about what are we really good at and how can we help people here? Thinking compassionately first. This last one is hardest for leaders. And it's hardest for leaders day to day, and it's really hard to remember right now. And that is that you are experiencing this right along with everyone else. And so your worry, your experience, your concern, your processing speed, all of that comes right into work with you. I had somebody say to me recently, you know, I really feel like I should be doing a lot more with this time. There's no excuse for me to sit in this house all day and not get all of these house projects done. And I can see that, right? It's a little bit like the character in Orange is the New Black when she's going to prison for a year for a misdemeanor. And she says, I'm going to use that year to really tone up and get fit and read. And by the end of the episode, she's shaking and crying and she's in this whole new world, and none of that is going to happen. The compassion that you can show yourself as a leader is an understanding that what you've done up until now is all through enormous disruption. I'd argue even your morning routine is enormously disrupted. And so all the things that are on autopilot for you, when you go to the gym, when you work out, how you get your groceries, how you respond to clients, how you sell, how you work, how you solve problems, all of that is different. So it's a little bit like you have over the years built a support system that makes you able to multitask and do lots and lots of things easily. When that infrastructure is pulled away or shaken up, each one of those things you do, even though it may be fairly simple, your morning routine may be fairly simple, you're doing the same things getting ready for work, but your work is in a different place. You're eating different kinds of food, you're drinking different kinds of coffee, you're interacting with different levels of people, and oh, by the way, all of those people are on high alert, as they used to say on 7/11, excuse me, on Saturday Night Live in the years after 9/11. If you're working with all of that, that requires more energy of you. So the compassion you can show to yourself is to understand that you are already processing an enormous amount of change and disruption, whether you feel it or not. And so there are going to be some days where the most you can do is get through the day without losing your marbles. And that's okay. That's a successful day some days. And there are going to be other days where you have far more energy. One of the most critical skills now, and the most critical skills as we think about the future of work, which this is great practice for, right, is emotional intelligence. And the foundation of emotional intelligence is understanding your own emotional experience and being able to manage that and being able to bring it forward in service to others when it makes sense. So if anything else, on a day when everything goes wrong and you feel like you're not productive at all, you at the very least have been in touch with your own experience and have a keen awareness of what everyone around you is feeling. So many of you are really high achievers. So many of you really understand what you want. And you go for it and you get it. You're used to sort of setting the goal and checking the box. Those times will come again. But we're a beginner at this. We're all beginners at this. We haven't done this before. And so allowing yourself some grace and compassion to move through it is critically important. So when you think about compassion, you want to think about compassion for your team. What do they need? How can you show up? Compassion for others around you, your clients and your partners, and compassion for yourself. And that does not mean that we're going to hold hands and sing campfire songs. It doesn't mean, again, we're taking emotional responsibility. We're simply acknowledging that the mental load of the work we're doing today is vastly heavier than it was last week. So I'm going to give you a moment to consider what you need to do first to exercise and think consciously about compassion. I'll give you a minute to jot that down. You've addressed the question on candor. Now you're thinking about to bring forward my compassion, whether it be for myself or for others. What do I have to do?